These traders, deceptively tanky. They have 8 melee and 8 ranged armor, plus 108 health. Hello, welcome to another caster game featuring Smooth Operator on his classic Abbasid dynasty. This time he's looking to take down the might of the Holy Roman Empire, played by Inquisitor Tortillum. Not sure who this guy is, but he's a Conqueror 3 player, so either way, we should have a great game on our hands today. Nice colors coming out, orange and teal. Nice complementary colors, often seen on a lot of movie posters, so I'm sure this game will be a cinematic one. To get started, we've got a dock going up. Now, we did watch if you saw it the other week, we did see Smooth Operator on Rocky River. That is the map, by the way, Rocky River. He was against a Jeanne d'Arc player in that one, and he did go for this same opening. The quick dock onto the little pond in the middle. I think there's about 1,000 food here. A couple of little fishing, shorefish spots. And the Abbasid do have the cheaper docks, 75 wood, instead of the normal 150, I believe, 75 there. And if we can take a look at the HRE, it is 150, so half price. So essentially a fishing boat and a dock for the same price as anyone else would just buy, construct one dock on its own. So we'll see if HRE decides to deal with that dock, if at all, if he'll even see it. See if he has scouted it. Nothing's scouted yet. Just picking up some sheep down to the south of the map. Nice nice amount there. 10 for the HRE player. How many did Smooth get? He's just got one there, but I imagine he's dropped some off. Looks like he got quite a few as well. Interestingly, I guess because of the food that he's getting from the fish, he's gone straight on to sheep rather than utilizing the berries, which an Abbasid player would usually do, as they do have the increased gather rate and increased capacity per berry bush from their civilization bonuses. Archon Chapel coming down for HRE, so not looking at any particular aggression from the Burgrave, their second one. I always forget it. We don't see it very often. It's the equivalent of a blacksmith, but cheaper technologies. But we will see Archon come down. Nice position here. This will cover this large wood line and the gold for quite a long time. The Archon Chapel inspires the villagers in a large radius and increases their gathering speed, I think by 40%. Is that right? Yes, villagers gather rate 40%. So very nice little eco bonus coming in there. The Abbasid have their similar eco bonus from the Golden Age, but it is only 15%. But it's all resources anywhere on the map, rather than just within the influence of one building. The dock has been spotted out now by HRE. We'll see. Excuse me. See if he does decide to do anything about it. Possibly not. It would require a fair investment from him. At least a barracks, some spearmen, maybe some early men-at-arms. Sometimes the Abbasid can struggle dealing with the HRE, especially if they are late to that castle age, as the HRE do get those armoured units. We do see an archery range coming in, so looking to at least counter the 4 units that come out of the military wing, which Smooth Operator is going for. He'll get 2 spearmen, 2 archers, and they'll head straight out, possibly towards the gold of the HRE. Interestingly, just 1 on gold for HRE, so I'll have to see what type of build he is going for. Looks like more of an aggressive build, possibly with a bit of fighting in the feudal. First archer is queued up now. We would usually see just full, 5, 6 villagers on gold if he was looking at a fast castle age. Second production now comes down. So we are going to get a bit of a feudal battle here with archers coming out from the HRE. Now, is the Abbasid matching at all? No production from the Abbasid player just yet. He will have the 4 units from the military wing, and they do pop out now. They will head across the map, but they are going to get immediately countered by, 3 archers will clean up that initial force. Decides not to head out across the map, not to defend his dock. Fishing boats are going to come under attack now from the archers, and they do out heal just 1 archer, so nothing much to worry about there. But the second archer is arriving now. A galley being, a dhow being constructed, and that will stave off these archers and any others that come along over the next probably couple of minutes, really, before the force builds up enough to counter that 1 dhow. And the dhow with the spearmen and archers cleaning up the HRE archers very quickly now. No losses coming in for smooth operator on the Abbasid. A third production building added in. It is the men-at-arms. We did mention Abbasid can struggle with men-at-arms and armored units if they don't spot it early enough. But with the archery range down, we should look to see some camel archers in queue, as these do have the base damage to be able to deal with the HRE men-at-arms in the feudal age. You can actually mass these up if you go really long in feudal age, and they work quite effectively even into a castle age opponent, just because of their high health and high base damage. Obviously, that is required that you have a very robust economic count going on, especially with food. So, which we could see on this map. There's some nice berry bush locations down to the west side for Abbasid. Very nice expansion area for him. Doesn't look like we see any sort of second TC coming out just yet, but I guess this dock is a pseudo second TC, although it does just have the 2 fishing boats. Almost depleted this first shorefish line, and we'll have the second one to fall back to. Trying to do a little bit of harass, but a nice wall has gone up to block any sort of harassment coming in from that east side. Still just 3 on gold, I guess just enough for the early men-at-arms production. No military upgrades come in, although one has just been started. Steeled arrow for his nice little set of 13 archers that he's got on the field. Just 10 out the front here. Decent force as well coming in from the Abbasids, and they pass like 2 ships in the night, somehow managing to avoid each other. I'm sure he will turn around now. It's just going to pick off some of the reinforcements though, which is good, while sending the archers back to deal with the HRE's little clump. He did manage to take out 2 workers, so not too bad. Has made the worker count a little more in his favor. Obviously the fishing ships counting towards 2 of those. It's going to head round to the south of the base. No one on gold at the moment, so this is full feudal aggression from the Abbasid player. Not particularly sure of what his intentions are here, because he's not particularly booming. He's just sort of building a feudal force, and I guess he will look to eliminate this and then head over to the HRE base and cause any issues he can. We have 2 more production buildings coming down. This is very, very heavy feudal play, and a beautiful surround coming in onto these HRE archers here by the Abbasid player. This will get swiftly mopped up. He will probably look to take out a couple more villagers if possible, but Abbasid does a good job of moving his workers quickly away, and the horsemen will now chase down these archers and mop these up. That's a significant loss here for HRE. There's about 10 archers, I think, plus his scout if that does get caught, but I think the scout's going to split off and say see you later to those archers, and they will get mopped up on that backside. We do have a bit more of a force being built up, but it is just idle in the HRE's base. No particular stock of food or gold building up for either player, so neither one of them looking to go towards castle just yet. We do have another archery range coming in. So that's 3 archery ranges plus the stables for the Abbasid. We do see the first of the military techs coming in. We've got steeled arrows. It's going to give extra damage to all of these archers. Will be very beneficial, especially when up against these men-at-arms who are going to be blocking a significant portion of that archer damage coming in. I would like to see some camel archers on the field now that Smooth Operator has spotted the men-at-arms. These are going to absorb just so much damage, even though we do have 20 plus archers on the field for Abbasid. I'll have to keep an eye on how much damage they can absorb as they head towards the southeast side of the base. Nowhere particularly vulnerable just yet. It would be nice to see a bit of a wall coming in between these wood lines here. He is moving out to the berries, so almost out on his berries and sheep under the TC. He does still have a significant amount of sheep under his TC. Maybe he found some more. And he is getting food from the dock still. That is almost run out though. Interestingly, the HRE didn't decide to just take this dock out. Maybe he thought not worth it as there isn't too much food left. But and this will be redundant in sort of 2 or 3 minutes, I would imagine. We've got 26 army on the field for HRE against the 41 of the Abbasid. He's been pumping out units at a pretty rapid rate as Smooth Operator. And we do see the first of the camel archers now on the field. We'll have the +1 to range damage as well. A little raid using the horsemen here, as they have a much greater movement speed than the army of the HRE. So they can just push and pull him around, try and do a few raids. And arms are going to try and defend. But, I mean, they probably do a pretty decent job. The horsemen do very little damage to them, as you can see here. Just sort of tickling their backsides as they run under the safety of the tower. And some spearmen coming in, which will dissuade this horseman push, I'm sure. Although it does decide to fully engage, maybe as a distraction, as we do have the archers moving in for the HRE into the Abbasid wood line. He's taken out 8 villagers, but I think it will cost him his whole army. There's a significant amount of archers here for the Abbasid player. Still 23 on the field. And a few camel archers really doing work against those men-at-arms on the front line. They are being focused down, as you can see down here. So they do 13 bow damage per shot, whereas the archers would only do 6, and the men-at-arms have 4 armor. So that's, you know, two damage per shot. And that is a nice, another cleanup there. The HRE throwing away quite a lot of military units and just really not getting the value out of them that I think he would need at this stage. We do see Regnitz coming in for HRE. That is almost finished. And Eco Wing coming in for the Abbasid. Another minute and a half on that. So the HRE will get a bit of a leg up getting out onto the map, possibly trying to secure some of these relics on the west side. Would be good for Smooth Operator just to cover off some of these. But just being out on the map like this kind of dissuades the HRE from sending out those solo prelates. May have a little bit of a engagement here. Probably doesn't want to do a head-on fight here, as HRE will have sort of defensive bonus with the tower. Trading a few blows here. Nothing too significant being done. Archers still being pumped out by the HRE, as the Abbasid does decide to back off a little. Has picked up 1 relic. Nicely done. How many prelates does he have on the field? Just 2 at the moment, and I think one of them's in the Archon, so and not producing any more. So this prelate, his sole duty is to pick up relics. He will be back off, I'm sure. I want to get this one in the middle. Maybe some of these ones on the outer edges of the map as well. The army for HRE moving out into the middle just to try and secure a bit of space for the prelate to do his job. Eco Wing almost finished. Wheelbarrow as well coming in. So the villagers working hard for the Abbasid dynasty here. We'll have to see what sort of direction he wants to go. Getting in some crossbows first. Good idea, just to deal with these man-at-arms, which are no longer early man-at-arms. They have the full 5 armor, 155 health, so pretty beefy units now. That is another relic being picked up by the HRE. I don't think he should have been allowed to pick the relics up quite so easily. We will see here how the armies fare against each other. Men-at-arms are going to tank a lot of this damage. Did he get the veteran archers in? Neither veteran archers yet, so they are equal on the archer front. We do have a knight charging into the archer line here for the Abbasid, and that's going to take a lot of the focus away. I do think that Abbasid could have held the middle ground, I think, a little more. Could have even got a tower over here onto the relic. He is just letting the HRE pick up these relics a bit too freely, in my opinion. As he did only have the 1 prelate, he does now have 2 prelates on the field picking up various relics. But that's 3 for the HRE, at least 2 secured and 1 more on the way. Does look like he will get away with this. But not really watching these locations. Has just popped out the Dow, can probably watch this relic over here. Abbasid has picked up his own relic. I believe there was one over on this side of the map. It is in his mosque now. And the Imam will, I think, be able to pick up this one. So not too bad in the end for Abbasid. Did pick up 2 to the 3 relics of the HRE. But I think he could have made it at least a little more difficult for the HRE to secure those relics. A little bit of a lull in the action here as both players decide what they want to go with next. We have the second TC coming online for Smooth Operator on the Abbasid with some more military upgrades coming in. Both players got a few upgrades on the board, military and eco-wise. Another little expeditionary force into the Abbasid base from HRE. Just going to look to fight this one head on, really, which is questionable. I think he lost the last fight like this fairly convincingly, and looks like he will be pulling back rather quickly. Maybe just testing the waters here, seeing what the Abbasid force is like, and how he can move to counter it next. Sticking with some more crossbowmen. I guess he's seen the knights on the field for the Abbasid, so crossbowmen a nice counter to those. We have some stone coming in here for HRE. Possibly looking at his own second TC. Would help with any sort of eco amount that the Abbasid has. Although, what we do normally see is HRE going for that quick Imperial Age. And with the Swabia, is it? I think it's the Swabia. And that'll pump out those villagers at an extreme rate. I think it's 5 every minute? No. 5 every 20 seconds? Well, we'll see when we get there, which I'm sure we will. A lone prelate out and about in territory which is not his. Maybe trying to convert some of the workers from the Abbasid dynasty, but not going to work this time. A little army just posturing on the outskirts of the Abbasid base. Could probably fire over this wall, get a couple of worker kills if he so desired. Some sacred sites, trading places being neutralized over on this north side. But both players just looking to secure their position on the map. Maybe do a little farm transition. We do have quite a decent one coming in from HRE already. And those archers who are on the outskirts do move in now. Going to sacrifice a few of them, and we'll try and just take down as many workers as he can. try and keep this number nice and even. He's doing an okay job, 67 to 63, but is going to lose this massive archers now. Maybe he wants to do a bit of a switch. I think the archers into the current composition of the Abbasid just aren't really working for him. We do see a third TC actually coming down from the Abbasid, and this will help with the farm transition. So he's going to be very online. It's actually a fourth TC. Where did he get all these? I missed 2 of those going up, which is pretty bad. But we do see Palace of Swabia coming up now. So although the Abbasid eco count will balloon from this point forward. Oof. Nice hit there coming in from the demo ship. Got a lot of damage on quite a few of those units. Yes, although this eco count for the Abbasid will start to balloon now very quickly, HRE will catch up and probably overtake with the Palace of Swabia villager printer that's coming in. I think this is going to be a pretty late game battle we're going to have. We've got a bit of a tech switch going on here from HRE. I think this is a great idea. Recognizing that he is against a mainly ranged composition. These stables with the knights that will come out of them are going to do a great job into this army composition. Mangonel as well. That's going to struggle against an army of mass knights. Especially HRE knights, with how tanky they are. Smooth operator is definitely going to need a bit more production, and it's going to need to be some frontline production. He has 1 knight on the field at the moment, and I just don't think that guy's going to cut it. He's he's in command of the ranged section of the army, but sadly, that's the only section of the army at the moment for the Abbasid. We do have horsemen in the queue, so not the knights that perhaps we expected, but horsemen. I wonder what HRE will use his gold towards. Does have some veteran upgrades coming in now for the horsemen. So these will get a nice cosmetic upgrade in a few seconds. I'll have to have a look at that. Rarely see the HRE horseman, I think. It's quite a rare. Whoa, look at those. Those are beautiful. That is yeah, quite something there. HRE horseman. I mean, they look armored, right? They should probably have more armor than they do. Looks like a heavy unit. All right, let's get back over to the action. HRE, again, deciding to throw away his whole army. I think that's the 3rd or 4th time here. But, it seems to be working for him. We'll see how that plays out going forward into the game. It's an interesting strategy. Throw away the majority of your army 2 or 3 times in a game without, really doing the damage that he would need to be doing. Sacred Site being decapped now by a single man-at-arms. You do have some veteran spearmen, and the HRE units just look so cool, don't they? I mean, I'm an Abbasid main, but you gotta respect the HRE army, especially in this orange. Very nice, very, very nice. So the comp for HRE, horseman, man-at-arms, full melee comp against an almost full ranged comp for Abbasid. This is going to be an interesting clash. I would imagine the melee units win here, right? These have actually now been upgraded to elite, so they look even more resplendent. They got a nice emblem on their chest now, and they will ride into battle looking absolutely magnificent. Engagement possibly coming in here. We're going to follow along with the horsemen. They're chasing down all the ranged units. Are going to go for the battering ram. Take that out nice and quickly. Mangonel is on the sidelines. Along with the explosive Dow, that could do a lot of damage here. It does a bit of damage, not too much. The horsemen just decimating this purely ranged comp from Abbasid. Definitely going to need to get some spearmen in here or some knights, or better yet, some camel riders, which will counter these horsemen very well. I mean, this was not too many horsemen, and they've done a pretty good job at clearing up a lot of these ranged units from the Abbasid. Doesn't have the rank 3 of the ranged armor just yet, which I think could have come in a bit earlier. He definitely has the resources for it, and that would have just given these horsemen even more armor against all of the range attacks. But we see a big switch up for the Abbasid. It is the trade wing into the 4 traders. This is going to be an absolute monster of a trade route if he does get this set up. HRE is going to need to do some significant economic damage now, and probably just keep this trade offline for as long as possible, because those traders are going to build up insanely quickly. He does get, I believe, 8 from just the age up on its own. I think it's 8 if you go into the Imperial Age. It's 5. So not quite as many, but 5 traders instantly. Plus these markets will be working overtime as quickly as they can. And we already have 9 on the field. And we'll check in. We'll see how much gold and food he's bringing in from those traders. We do have Grand Bazaar technology as well, which increases the amount gathered from trade. And once he gets spice roads as well, that brings in more gold income as well. Sorry, the Grand Bazaar is a secondary resource, and the spice roads is the extra gold. So the best trade civilization in the game, I believe, is Abbasid. Once it gets those traders online and moving, this is what the HRE needs to do. He needs to push and pull the Abbasid dynasty player around, idle some workers, try and kill some traders if possible as well, because they are building up at a rapid rate. And the eco count for both players is pretty high now. Horseman getting some nice pick-offs here, kind of helping to even out that eco count. Has also taken the sacred site in the middle. HRE probably wants to take the other sacred site that is on his side. It is just being nicely protected by a single outpost there, but no one does own this currently. A second horseman force is coming in. Maybe doesn't quite see the opening that he did have. Along with some elite man-at-arms as well. He's going to just be able to absorb so much of this archer fire from the keep that has been placed. The army for each player isn't too big. It's 60 to 50. So this is just going to be a bit of a raid-off for quite a while, I think. Just seeing back and forth who can do the most damage. Although Abbasid is just dealing with raids himself at the moment rather than performing any raids. Check on those villagers. Up to 12, so it's not increasing as quickly as I thought it would. But he is dealing with multiple raids at the same time. It's going to get cleaned up here, so these horsemen and man-at-arms will be free to take out villagers and more traders. This horseman unit does get picked off by the spearmen at the back, so that's one raiding party dealt with. He's got another one to deal with over here. Using the spearmen against the man-at-arms, they're going to kill them so slowly. Definitely needs to get some of these crossbow over, which he is. So this will be another little cleanup. But 34 workers killed by HRE. So pretty good, actually. He is now ahead in the eco count, but doesn't have trade himself. So just relying on the gold income from his 3 relics that he picked up earlier in the game. Single man-at-arms trying to take down some traders. They are bringing in a lovely 19 food and 75 gold per trip. So, yeah, that's going to skyrocket the Abbasid economy very quickly. He's trying to get up a bit of a stone wall, a palisade wall across the entire length of the map. But not going to slow down even if he did have the wall up, it's not going to slow down this army very much. I think they would break through that palisade wall, as we saw earlier, very, very quickly. We do have quite a big engagement here. We've got spearmen on the front line for Abbasid, backed up with some crossbowmen and some camel riders as well. These will do a great job at countering the horsemen, but he will need them in a greater number if he wants to chase them down. These are the elite camel riders. I don't think these are they fully upgraded? I think because their shield isn't out, they look a bit different. But yeah, they are fully upgraded camel riders. And they dissuade that push in. So slowly but surely, Abbasid is securing his eco, his trade line. And he will just be able to build up those trader numbers. Maybe slowly delete some of his villagers as resources on his side of the map start to deplete. The dock's being taken out. I don't think this is too significant here for Abbasid. Doesn't really need this dock anymore. No fish. There is a bit of fish in this pond, but he does have a nice amount of farms online. 47. So isn't relying on the fish income anymore. It's grains and wheat from now on for the Abbasid Empire. Horsemen are finally taking out this outpost, so that should allow HRE to take this sacred site, and will secure up this 8k gold vein as well on the northeast side with a keep, plus an awful lot of towers, although these are not upgraded in any capacity, but this is just securing this stone outcropping. So a ton of stone coming in for HRE, not as much for Abbasid. So just towers absolutely everywhere coming in for HRE, trying to secure up sacred sites, stone, any sort of resource that he can. And looking pretty good for HRE. I mean, he has the static resources on the map. Bit of an engagement coming in here as the stone walls are trying to be built by the Abbasid behind this engagement. I think this will be a bit of a cleanup here. The spearmen just dealt with the horsemen of the HRE very, very easily, with the crossbow cleaning up the back line. A second little engagement comes in again for HRE. He just loves fighting these sort of uneven battles, doesn't he? I do question whether at this point in the game he is throwing away too many units, but he thinks it's worth it. So we can see down here the destroyed value. Whether or not that is perfectly correct or not, it's 11,000 more destroyed by the Abbasid than the HRE. So, you know, this is adding up over a long game. We're 33 minutes in now, both players in Imperial, and it's going to be a bit of a slog from here. Every single resource is very valuable, especially as the HRE is on the finite resources. So he is utilizing the stone, the gold on the map as it stands, whereas the Abbasid, now up to 21 total active traders, has an infinite source of income, along with the 2 relics that he managed to pick up earlier on. Hasn't got tithe barns just yet, but this would increase the 2 relics that he does have. 40 food, 40 wood, and 10 stone every minute. So this, coupled with how many traders he's got going, is just a significant amount of passive income. And I've watched enough YouTube to know that passive income is the way to go, apparently. That's what all these YouTube gurus say. Passive income. Diversify your streams of income, and that's exactly what Smooth Operator is doing. He's been watching those YouTube videos. Big fight coming in here. This one actually looks a bit more even. HRE deciding that that's the way to fight wars. Try and be on even footing as best you can. A few battering rams coming in here just to supplement the army of Abbasid. Going to take down these towers, which are giving a nice amount of vision to HRE. And a pretty even trade here. Actually, Abbasid going down to 30 military population. I think this HRE player enjoys towers quite a lot. And this is just to slow down any sort of advancement. He does have the funds to put a keep down, but I guess prefers the mass outposts. Maybe he's going to use the stone to upgrade them all, get some springled or maybe some cannon emplacements in all of these. And this will be quite a struggle to get through without trebuchets, which Abbasid currently does not have online. I'm just going to take a quick drink of water as we watch this engagement happen. Horsemen are running past the keep. I'm going to head straight for the villagers and the back line of the Abbasid. Very nice play there. Let's follow on with these horsemen if we can, as the fight does continue on the top right of your screen here. The horsemen going to look to break through, but I don't think... Oh, there's a gap here. There's a gap. Is he going to find it? Well, it's not a gap, but it's a much weaker part of the wall, and he is through, but decides to turn and fight the unit that counters his units perfectly. So it does lose a few horsemen there. Definitely not needed to lose those in that instance, but at this stage in the game in Imperial, when the map looks like this, there's so many things going on, so it's completely expected for players to lose track of a few units here and there. Is trying to head towards the trade line, which I think is the right choice to do. Lovely follow-up here. This is great. The horseman following up with the distraction, and does need to start getting some of these traders off the map, because these are just going to be a way for the Abbasid player to win this game in the long run. Is able to pick off one, maybe two traders on the back line. But I think, does he have the upgrade? He does have the upgrade. So these traders, deceptively tanky. They have 8 melee and 8 ranged armor, plus 108 health. Is that 108 plus 18? I guess so. Or is that 108 total? 108 total. So actually really, really tanky traders. So difficult with a limited number of horsemen to actually get a significant amount of kills quickly. He did only manage to take down one trader there. Men-at-arms coming in, but the crossbow numbers are looking pretty good for Abbasid. 25 on the field. Doing a big transition into the elite camel riders. Now these things, as well in the Imperial Age, incredibly meaty, tanky unit. Let's take a look at one of these. 384 health, 3 armor for melee and 3 armor for range. So pretty weak on the armor. They are a light melee unit, but the health pool is, that's where they shine. And they do give more armor to any infantry units that's coming from the camel support. That's +2 melee, +2 ranged armor onto the Ghulams, onto the crossbow, any infantry unit that the Abbasid player does have. So he's got elite Ghulams, 310 and 10 melee, 10 ranged armor. So absolutely huge Ghulam unit if they do have that camel support. Let's compare that to the man-at-arms of the HRE, the classic, most powerful man-at-arms unit in the game, but perhaps not. Only 8 melee, 8 ranged armor with 216 health. So actually, although the Ghulams might not do as much damage as the HRE man-at-arms, they are significantly more tanky. And I think we see this here with just a very small number of Ghulams just holding back this man-at-arms line so the crossbowman can do as much damage as possible. There is so much happening on this screen. We've got cannon fire from the cannons in the outposts. We've got culverins firing off, trying to take out the bombards from the Abbasid player. They will make short work of all these towers, which is pretty nice. Get some of these off of the board. He has towered up this entire front portion of the map, really. But the Abbasid is slowly working his way through. We do have a nice horseman engagement here. But again, these are going to struggle to... Well, I was going to say they're going to struggle to get past the range damage of the Abbasid, but they are just going straight for the bombards of the Abbasid dynasty and taking them out with ease. Is he going to lose another one? He does lose another one. So little horseman raid there coming in does almost take out the bombards, and the outpost with the cannon emplacement finishes it off. This is going to be a bit of a slog for a while, I reckon. You have trebuchets on the back line for the HRE. What are they targeting down? The keep to the middle of the map. But most of the action focused around this southern point here. None of the sacred sites have been captured. This is just a throw as many units into each other as possible. No one particularly looking towards the sacred sites. I guess no one really has them properly secured. I think HRE's got 2 of them. Pretty well secured on this north and the west and east sides. The middle is definitely a more contested area. Bombards from Abbasid coming in, working down more of these towers. He has got through a fair amount of them on this top side, with a few more to go down here. Endless amounts of fights. Does decide to sacrifice some villagers. Rather than just deleting them, I guess that's for more room for the traders. Speaking of traders, let's take a look. Up to 35 active traders now. Each one bringing in 24 food, 95 gold. That is a huge amount, although it doesn't look like it's really that much. It's sort of 1900 a minute. It is going up a little bit, so that is a significant amount. It's a significant amount more than the HRE has incoming. Another fight here. I think he's worked in some Landschnicks. Did I see those, or is it the spearmen? I think just the spearmen. Maybe thinking there's a massive camel riders coming out for Abbasid, but there wasn't. So these spearmen probably not the right choice. But maybe he just doesn't have the resources. He is sat on 3,000 gold, so definitely has the resources. There are 15 Landschnicks on the field somewhere, so I think they must have been... they're in here. So these will start doing significant damage if he can get them into the infantry mass. Let's follow on with these guys and see how they do. They are... Well, they're not doing that much. They're getting cut down. Nice kiting there by the hand cannons of the Abbasid dynasty. And that's going to be enough for them to force the HRE away once again. Absolutely huge losses here coming in. 70,000 destroyed value, 71,000 for the Abbasid, and 51,000 for the HRE. So definitely in the Abbasid's favor. And I do think his economy is just working so much better for him at this stage. So he is starting to make a bit of a push. The HRE held that middle ground for sort of 15-20 minutes, I think he did. But now I think the eco advantage for the Abbasid, coming from those trade routes that he's got going from behind, up to 52 traders now, will have sacrificed some villagers for the more efficient workers of the traders. And the army being almost cleaned up now by Abbasid dynasty. Just a handful, maybe 3 handfuls of units, 34 units coming in for HRE. And that's got to combat this, again, mainly ranged unit comp of the Abbasid. A few battering rams coming in, and these are nice tanky guys. We'll have all of the upgrades by now, both teams having full upgrades, apart from the final wood cutting upgrade, but not too much of a problem. This is a bit of a slaughter now. I think we've got 40 hand cannons on the field. I mean, they're going to take a while to take down these keeps here, but any men-at-arms or other military units that come anywhere near this line are going to get immediately cut down, and has finally made it to the front doors of the HRE player, and is now going to make his way into the production line and going to cut down any of these man-at-arms that pop out. Spearman is not what you want here. HRE, they are not going to do anything against this line of hand cannoneers. Let's watch these man-at-arms, see if they can even get anywhere near to these hand cannoneers. They're getting 1 or 2 hits in, maybe, but they're being immediately cut down. They're going for the siege, but I just don't think it's enough at this point. The hand cannoneers, without any sort of front line, just... There's a couple of Gulams in there, I suppose, but mainly just the hand cannoneers doing so much work here. He's got through a few of them. There's still 42 on the field, but I think they're making their way from the base of the Abbasid dynasty. Mangonels are going to do a great job into the hand cannoneers. If you can get another couple of shots off, that is some great value there from the Mangonels. Camel Riders are now heading on to deal with these. Prelates grabbed his relic, but could not get it very far. Maybe was going to look for a, a Wallalow play. But, oh, and HRE decides to call it. Abbasid was in his eco. He had the trade going. And what a slog. But Smooth Operator coming out with the victory. Again, GG. See you in the lounge. Wow, that was a long one. The traders really coming in clutch there. HRE player just not able to shut down the very strong trade that the Abbasid have. Smooth Operator coming out with a win. Once again, I mean, we knew he would, right? But yeah, really, really interesting game. Interesting play from the HRE using the Horsemen, I guess as a response to the mass ranged units coming out from the Abbasid player. But yeah, interesting one nonetheless. I hope you enjoyed it. I don't have too much to say on this one. It was a bit of a Imperial Age slog at points. Tons of towers, a bit of siege, not too much siege, which was nice. It was mainly unit focused. Some raiding from HRE, but in the end, just not enough to come out with the win. I just didn't do enough eco damage. But yeah, if you enjoyed it, let me know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. See you later.